Welcome back to Smith's Customs. You got Jacob here, and here we are with Project Black Max. So let's dive into this project. I want to know, gentlemen, when I bought this, said he had already rebuilt the injectors, and that was the reason it got parked. It had a stuck injector, was over fueling. It got parked. He rebuilt the injectors, couldn't get it to run. So here we are. This is where we got it. I've never even heard this thing crank until recently. Never heard it run, nothing. So let's dive right into it. Obviously, with it sitting for a very long time, first thing I did, check the fuel tank. Fuel tank had contaminants, looked like contact cement or rubber cement at the bottom. Just nasty as could be, brown, nasty, tar-like substance. This tank already has a sump kit on it, so the first thing I did, I went ahead and put about 2 gallons of gas in it. Let it sit for a while. Try to dissolve some of that old gunk. Then I went ahead and drained that out, removed the sump off it. And once I removed the sump, I put that right in a pail of gas. Put some more gas in there, scrubbed the inside of the tank really good, hit it with a heated pressure washer. On my final rinse, I used a simple green and the heated pressure washer. We rinsed it out really good, got it really dry, and it sat for a couple days. Same thing with the sump. I scrubbed it out really good, got it spotless, hit it with a heated pressure washer, simple green, got it all cleaned up, and it was good to go. Now, the gas did damage some of the paint on it, so I did repaint it because, well, I wanted it to look pretty when I was done. Got all that done, put it back in the truck, resealed the sump to it, put fuel in it, let it sit for a while, made sure there were no leaks. Once there were no leaks, I went ahead and moved to the next step. I hooked the hoses back to the tank, all except the return, turned the key on, and well, lo and behold, we had nothing. It blew the fuse for the lift pump instantly. As soon as I turned the key on. I'll get down here so we can see the lift pump. That's our lift pump down here, up tucked in beside the fuel rail there. Now, once I took and started looking at that lift pump, I realized, well, it was full of the same beautiful fuel that the tank was. So we went ahead, pulled that off, soaked the parts in gas. I used gas, brake clean, got it all cleaned up, made it spotless, verified it worked before installing it. Everything come on. I made sure all the ports, passages, check valves, everything were perfect on it. Everything was working, nice, clean, spotless. Put it back in the truck. Once I got it in the truck, I was going to hook up the rubber fuel lines, the one that goes from the tank and the main feed to the engine. And I realized those rubber fuel lines, they just had some contamination in them. They didn't look too good. I went ahead, pulled those off, threw them right in the trash, went and bought new ones, put new rubber line on it. Once I got that hooked up, I went ahead and removed the inlet line from the lift pump to the filter head at the front and put that in a bucket. I turned it on, let it flush about 2 gallons of diesel through there, made sure everything was nice and clean. Then I hooked the line up to the filter head. I verified that the return line was still unhooked from the tank. I put it down in a bucket. I then turned on the key again, and I let that fuel pump run and flush all the old nasty fuel out of the system, out the return line into a bucket. I probably flushed, I'm going to guess and say about 3 gallons through it. Made sure that it was coming out perfectly clean diesel. Then, once I had clean diesel, I went ahead and hooked the return line back up to the tank. So, well, that way I wasn't wasting any more fuel. And that brings us to the front. Now, I had positive pressure going to the CP3. I want to make a side note of this really quick. On the factory LBZs without a lift pump, this was not a positive, you shouldn't have positive pressure up there. This was originally a vacuum system where the CP3 actually drew the fuel from the tank through the filter head and up to the CP3. Now, seeing that they had installed a lift pump on here, obviously, I had positive pressure up here. I then turned the truck over, trying to start it. The truck did nothing. I hooked my snap-on scanner up to it, went in, checked my fuel pressures, my desired to my actual. The truck was making around 120 psi fuel pressure out of the high pressure pump. Obviously, nowhere close to where we needed to be. So, judging by the state of the rest of the fuel system, I assumed that there was probably something wrong with the fuel pressure regulator on the back of the CP3 pump. I then pulled the fuel pressure regulator off the FPR valve. I pulled it off the back of the CP3 and tested it. You can hook 12 volts to it. You should be able to hear a click. If you can't hear it click or feel it click, it's probably no good and not working properly. I went ahead, replaced the FPR valve, put a new one in there, reassembled the truck, tried it again. At this point, now we're making 400 psi. We're still a long ways away. This truck recommends at least 2,500 psi just to start. So, obviously, we were quite a ways off from that. So, I tore everything back apart. I actually pulled the CP3 pump out, and I thought, well, why not tear it apart and look at it? Let's try to rebuild this thing. So I pulled it all apart, pulled all the check valves, ports, passages, everything, run it through my ultrasonic cleaner, and there was a lot of contamination in there. Got that all cleaned out, come out spotless. I put it all back together, reassembled it, put it back in the truck, put the truck back together, tried it again. This time we were making 600 psi instead of 400. We were getting better, but we're still not there yet. So instead of trying to mess around with that CP3 anymore, I just said, well, the hell with it. I ripped the CP3 out, went ahead, bought a new one, put a new CP3 pump in it. Now, with that being said, just on a side note real quick, I do think they offer rebuild kits for those CP3 pumps. Don't quote me to it 100% because I didn't research it a lot, but I do believe you can get a rebuild kit for them CP3 pumps. I just didn't have the time. Honestly, this truck, I need to get it going because, well, I need to drive it. So in the process, I should say, of installing the CP3 pump, I went ahead, I pulled every single metal fuel line off here. Everything in the engine, the fuel rails, all the lines, the return lines, each line to the injectors, everything. I soaked them all in Evapor Rust. Then I washed them out with Simple Green and the heated pressure washer. They came out all spotless, rails included. I blew them all out, air dried them, and then I set them in my garage, let them sit for a couple days to dry out thoroughly to make sure there was no water contamination inside of them. While the rails were out, on the driver's side, your fuel rail fitting in the very front, it is actually smaller than the passenger side. There are companies that sell ported fuel rail fittings for these. Me, I removed the fitting myself. I drilled it out to match ported fuel rail fitting. Then while I had the rails off, I also installed the PPE race plug in place of the high pressure relief on the back of the driver's side rail. Once I had those done, I reinstalled everything, reinstalled all the lines, hooked the new CP3 pump up, and again reassembled the truck, and we tried to start it. Now we were making fuel pressure. It was firing, but it wouldn't continue to stay running. And we were really close on the fuel pressure, but just still was losing some. That brought me to my injector return rate test. Now, I didn't do an actual return rate test of the whole system. I wanted to do it injector by injector because I wanted to see which injector was failing. Because I had been told they were rebuilt, so I wanted to see which one was causing it. I was assuming one was just stuck. I found injector number 3 to be stuck. I removed that injector. I tore it down myself. Well, once I removed it, I decided that I was going to do all 8 injectors because I didn't like the way it looked. Now, obviously, I've already done one bank of these. I have 4 of them out currently, and I'm pretty much through rebuilding all 4 of those. So I will be taking a video of doing the other bank, removing all 4. I will do a breakdown video of disassembling, cleaning, all my processes, the reassembling, the testing. I will do videos of all that also. So this is just bringing us up to speed, up to my most recent videos so we can get started. Because this truck project started before the YouTube channel. This is what started the YouTube channel, was this truck. So that's the end of this video for now, and stay tuned, and there will be plenty more to come. Also, I just want to make a quick side note. If this YouTube channel actually takes off and we start doing good, I'm going to give you guys some free reign. I'm going to come on here one day and I'm going to say, hey, what do we want to do for this thing? What do we want to do for performance mods? And what are some things you'd like to see done to it? Obviously, this truck in particular, I'm not going to be doing any kind of lift kit or anything like that on it because I'm going to be using it for a workhorse. But as far as performance, tuning, and things like that, I'm going to give you guys some free reign. Maybe some other things you'd like to see done. I don't know. That'll be up on you guys. It'll be what you guys want to see. Thank you for following along. Thank you for the support. Thanks for coming along on this beautiful journey. All right. Hey, you guys have a great night. We'll catch you next time.